Olá, bom dia e bem-vindo ao nosso canal Quinta, Fonte, Pipa.
Hello, good day and welcome back to our channel Quinta, Fonte, Pipa. This week the video's not going to be very long because the temperatures outside have been very hot and we've really been struggling to sort of get on with stuff on the farm. I think you'll find that from a lot of the other channels are saying the same at the moment. 38, 40 degrees is pretty hot, and I spent, as you're about to see, I've spent most of the week under a truck. We're not going to show you lots of the boring parts of that, but I've had a lot of stuff to fix on the truck. We've had the truck problems, we've had problems with the bees, we've had problems with the Asiatic killer wasps that are in Europe attacking the bees.
Goat problems.
Yeah, goat problems getting in and out. They're pushing down fences and escaping when we don't want them to at the moment, because after the fire that we had a couple of years ago we still haven't repaired a lot of the fencing. Well, it was fine, just that some of the posts were a little bit weaker at the ground level. And the goats are realising that, and so some of them are pushing on the posts and breaking the posts down and escaping. So, but we let them out every day onto the farm, so we have no idea why they keep wanting to break out. So it's rather bizarre, but it's just more jobs for us to do. You're about to see in the video why we've moved the beehive, how I'm going to tackle the Asiatic wasps and hopefully get the better of them, and just show you a few other things that we've been doing this week on the farm. Hope you enjoy it.
Eddie! Morning, Papa. Someone's rather interested in the tripod.
The goats are quite sweet, aren't they? Bless them. I think we've had 5 born this week from 2 mothers, so one mother's given us 2 and one mother's given us 3. And I'm just off into the shed to deal with the problem of the Asiatic wasp. Right, well, I came in yesterday to look at the beehive, and I think you'll be able to see him on the video. There's an Asiatic wasp there. He was inside waiting for them below the edge of the tiles, and when the poor bees have, oh god, there's another one. Oh, we're a bit in trouble now. Oh dear. I've come in here expecting one and I was going to kill it, but I know if I kill it, it's going to release a pheromone and his mate who's outside is going to come very quickly. Oh Jesus. And he just went right for me. Well, he didn't go for me, he came right close to me. I'm going to get my suit on because I haven't fully got my suit on yet. Oh bugger, you see him flying around. I think I might be in camera. You're going to have to forgive this bit if it's not great, because I'm actually quite worried, because those things can finish. Yeah, he's right in front of the hive, and they can kill 40 bees a minute by chopping their heads off. And if they get in there, we're in trouble. We're going to lose our bees, and I don't want to lose any more bees. We lost one last year, and I hate. Yeah, there's 2 there now at the opening. They said they'll send a scout out. He will find the hive or a source of food, and he will leave pheromone trails behind so all the others come. There is a wasp right in front of this here. Now let's hope I get him, because if I don't, I'm up shit streak. And my suit is not big enough to resist their sting, so I'm going to get a lot of pain if I mess this up. And if I get the wrong one and he's got a strong sting, I could end up in hospital. I was thinking about making a trap, which I do think actually we probably ought to make. Now what I've done here for the bees is I've put that across the front, trying to make a restriction so they should hopefully be able to try and defend the opening a little bit. But what I've seen of these Asiatic wasps is, as the poor bees come out, their mouths are so big and so powerful they just chop the bee's head off. And that one's got a bee. One had a bee in his legs then and flew out the tiles. I don't know if we've said in any other videos, but I actually got stung by the wasps that live in the ground whilst cleaning land we've got near the lake, and my head was covered in them, and I had a ball about 3/4 of a metre wide behind me, a thick black ball of wasps that came out of the ground, and they can kill you with their stings, and they were all over my head. And thank God there's a bloke I know in the village that was at the barrage, and he saw me running away freaking out and shaking my hands around, and he called the ambulance and the was it the ambulance and the fire line, I think he called, I can't remember, but I actually thought I was going into anaphylactic shock, but I wasn't. It was just me running out of breath because I'd run through brambles and God knows what to get away from this load of wasps. And I was taken to hospital, and thankfully I didn't even swell up from the stings, but then I was told by the doctors, once you're stung by a lot of wasps like that, you can actually become extremely allergic to any other wasp bites, and one more wasp bite can actually give you anaphylactic shock or kill you. There's that. Look, there he is hiding under the... You can see him in the daylight now. Oh, this isn't good. And I think the problem we've got is haven't seen them going in and out of our chimney this year, but they were nesting in our chimney. I'm getting a bit fed up now, because the steady stream of bees we normally have coming in and out is no longer there. Oh, I'm too scared to wallop it. I had a good chance of a shot then, but I messed this up. Just stand still for 2 seconds, buddy. Go on, sit on that landing board so I can smash you to fucking smithereens, you bastard. Yes, got him. Right, that's one down, but I don't know where he went. And the trouble is, I reckon he's going to let off a pheromone now if he's not completely dead. God, that really aggravated my tennis elbow. I'll see if I can find him. I'm sorry the shot's not very good, but I'm a bit about finding him and about not getting stung. I'm actually quite nervous. Ah, there he is. Good. Right, and for anyone doubting it's an Asiatic wasp, there you go. I hope you can see this in shot. Let's go like that with it. It's got yellow feet, a thick black body, and then he's got the yellow marking on the fourth segment of his backside. And you, my son, are dead, and you can stay that way. As you've just seen me inside the shed killing the Asiatic wasp, that's the barn that the bees are in. I think you can see the hole in the roof where the bees have been going in and out, and the Asiatic wasps hanging around underneath and picking them off mid-air and flying them back to their nests. Well, we moved the bees out of the barn here about four days ago, and we placed the beehive over in our garden over there. Some of the bees didn't reorientate themselves the following morning when we released them from the hive, even though we had branches and things across the entrance which makes them come out, realise their position or something's happened, and it forces them to relocate. Some of them didn't do that, and people have told us because we only kept them in the hive overnight. If we kept them 24 to 36 hours in the hive, it sort of forces them to relocate. But we had quite a fair stream of bees returning to the shed here, and I came over from the hive to stand roughly where the camera is now, just to see the quantity of bees that sort of hadn't relocated, because obviously they're no longer going to be in that hive, and the hive has lost a certain number of bees, which is not good for the hive. It doesn't really finish the hive off or hurt them, but we'd like to try and keep all the bees in the hive. So I came over here to check it out. I can't believe it, out of the corner of my eye. How I did it, I really don't know. But I was standing where you are, and I spotted this hive right here. There it is, there in a hole in the trunk of the tree. You just see the different colour of the paper there. So there we go. So that, unfortunately, is not the Asiatic wasps, which we thought it was. So that is actually Vespa crabrow, which is the European wasp. It's bigger than the Asiatic wasp, but it's not as aggressive, and they don't attack the honeybees. We called SEPNA, which is the sort of environmental police, who came out really quickly, because before when I spotted it, I didn't have my suit on, so I didn't look at it too closely, because fearing it was the Asiatic wasp. When the guys came out, they looked, and then we both realised that it wasn't, it was the European wasps, and they won't treat the nests for that. They'll only treat the Asiatic wasps' nests. So he's told me to come out in the evening, which I don't think we're going to get on footage, and just spray over the front of this one hole with expanding foam. That closes the wasps inside the trunk, and then they'll just die of starvation, or I guess. So, but that still leaves us with the fact that we've got an Asian wasp's nest probably very close to our farm, or just on the outside of it. The environmental guys told me that it's more than likely close to the river that we've got on our land, because they like to build their nests close to water. And unfortunately, I've got lots of land over there which is overgrown, and it's lots of trees, and it's the perfect area for Asian wasps to build a lovely nest. And when we do see them leaving the land here, when they've taken a bee, they're going off in that direction, and that's exactly where our land is. They might not be on our land, they might be behind it, but before I go and do any work on my land down there, I'm going to have to physically walk it, and I'm probably going to have to walk it completely in a bee suit, because you never know what they often say. They build them up in the air in a tree, but then lots of people have been working, the forest guys, they check the trees, they start chopping them, and they come out of a shrub at knee height on the ground. So they're building their nests anywhere. So and if you're going to hit the nest, you're going to hit a whole swarm of them, and they're going to pick you to bits. So at the moment I've only got a t-shirt on under this suit. Normally I'll wear several fleeces and thick clothing, because these Asian wasps and these crabrows have got extra long stingers on them, The bees probably won't get you through this suit because their stingers aren't so big, whereas these guys have got a lot of bigger stinger, and they sting you repeatedly as well, which is not good. They don't just sting once. In fact, I think it's the European or it's the Asian I saw the other day, they can actually spray the venom from their stinger, and that's if it gets you, it still gives you a bad effect. So they're becoming a real menace. So that's another problem I've got to sort out, is go and check my land before I clean it. But what I've done to try and combat these Asian wasps is I've built an electric harp, which is over there at the beehive, and we're going to take you over there now and show you what we've done to help kill off these Asian wasps. And here's the invention. It's not my invention, I've copied it from the internet. Mainly I found it on Spanish beekeeping channels and a couple of Portuguese guys. Plus we've got a very friendly guy in the village called Bruno, who's been helping me out with lots of messages. He's got lots and lots of hives, and he lives at the top of the village. And he also told me to make one of these, so I looked at it and I've managed to make one. This contraption here is one of those fly killers you see in butcher's shops, or you keep them inside your home. It normally has another grill over the front of it to stop larger insects getting in there, only house flies and whatnot. The reason the grill's missing is last year when we had the Asian wasps, sometimes in the evenings, you'd all of a sudden you just hear this really loud buzzing like a bomber plane inside the living room, and they'd be coming in the house, and some nights we'd have 3 or 4, maybe 5 of them inside the living room, and that's quite scary. So what I did is I took the safety grill off of this. We would then sit this on a table in the living room. I'd turn it on, I'd turn the light off in the living room so the living room was black, and I couldn't believe it, within seconds all of them flew directly to the light and got electrocuted, and it killed them stone dead doing it like that. So this is not connected, and we've actually got a beautiful large moth on here, a striped tiger moth I think it's called. It's not dead, it's not being electrocuted. This grill that's here, which is the actual zapping grill, is disconnected. I've disconnected the wires inside and I've connected these wires to it, so this is only working as the power supply underneath it. So this isn't alive, so no insects can get on it and get damaged or killed or anything like that. It's just that the lights are still on because I didn't have the time to take out the electrics, and I want to put them in a little waterproof box, and then we can keep this out here for a lot of the time. I don't want to jar that because I want to bring you over with the camera and show you this moth, because it's big, and I've just moved one wing and it's beautiful underneath, so hopefully we'll show you a picture of that in a second. So I've got, this is the wires that you use when you put the wires on the frames for the bees to hold the foundation, because it's very thin and it's stainless steel. The wires here, like a harp, they're spaced 2 centimeters apart, and the reason they're spaced 2 centimeters apart like this one's positive and this one's negative, and if you touch one nothing will happen if you touch the other one, but like electricity, if you touch both of them you're going to get a shock. And what I think is absolutely brilliant is, you might already see it in a little video clip in a second, but you'll see the bees are actually flying through without any problems at all, because no matter how much they stretch their wings out or they elongate their body, they cannot touch both wires. They can't exceed 2 centimeters, so they cannot physically make the circuit and be electrocuted, whereas the Asian wasp is much bigger. And I'm just going to show you a clip right now where we got one within the first 5 minutes of setting this up. You can give me a rake around the front, or a long stick. Oh, we just got it! Hey!
Yes.
That worked. He's on the floor.
Is he twitching or is he dead?
No, he's twitching.
He's twitching. Well, you saw what it just did to the wasp. Well, when I was making it in the shed, I turned the machine off, but I should have known this because I know about electricity, I used to do diagnostics and vehicle electrics. Capacitors, which that's got capacitors inside it, capacitors store power, so you might well turn the machinery off but the capacitors have got a heck of a charge left in them, and I accidentally touched both of those, and yeah, it made my arm throb, and it wasn't turned on. Being a fly killer, if it's turned on, that voltage is constantly going through, so I just drew the residual shock out of the capacitor and got a heck of a wallop on my arm, and I'm not an Asian wasp, so the Asian wasp really got it. I thought it was meant to kill them, so I contacted the Spanish guy that I saw that was making these, and he said no, it doesn't kill them, but what it'll do is, because they've had such a shock, they will fly back to the nest and warn the others there's danger here and it's not a good place to come. So it's not going to kill them. I've seen other guys putting bowls of water underneath, which the guy said is probably not a good idea to do it, because the bees might go in it. Right, well that's it for the electric harp. Hope you found that interesting, and because I do, because I think this is extremely clever that the bees can fly through it and not get hurt, which is fantastic. And to see it work so quickly within 5 minutes of putting it here, and we're now, I think this has been here 3 days, and I haven't seen one wasp in the time that we've been doing this video. There's not one Asiatic wasp around here now, and I think we've killed, well, we left the video going, I think it's zapped 4, and I did put a bowl of water under it before the guy told me not to, and there's 2 dead Asiatic wasps in there. So they got shocked and they fall vertically down, so you only need a small tray, and they drowned. Well, as you can see, this thing works, so it's got a thumbs up from me. So if you guys like it at all, or you like the channel, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And we've noticed that many of you are watching but you're not subscribed, so it doesn't cost you anything, only takes a second, so please hit the subscribe button for more content that we're going to put out every week. And now, this beautiful moth, look at those colours in his wings. I hope I've got the camera steady, guys. The size of him. He's not dead. There you go, he's moving. That's not me moving him. There you go, he's not dead. I just wanted to prove to people that this thing's not live, because I wouldn't do that and leave something like that out here for these flies and wasps. Can get squished and banged by it all day long, but not these lovely little things. What a wonderful striped moth. I mean, there goes my hand, you see how big he is. It's beautiful. And in amongst doing all those other jobs, I've been in the lathe shop for one of the first times since we've got the shed sorted out. So the lovely couple that gave us the laminate flooring I've got in the shed here, which has made a very swish workshop, thank you very much, because it looks a heck of a lot nicer than concrete floor, and it's actually much nicer to stand on, so you don't know how much I appreciate that. And they very kindly gave Molly the second-hand kitchen that came out of their house, which we've painted, and I've yet to install it in the room there. But I think one of the feet on a chest of drawers, or it's a little box. She's got a linen basket, a small chest, and it had 4 feet on it. I think one of them was rotten or something like that. So this week I've made the lady 4 new knobs for her dresser, which are all done now, all looking good and even, all done by measuring an eye and everything else. So another job we've done this week on the farm.
So I've just got back from the goats, and I'm going to see what my dad is up to. Or I should say down to. Shouldn't I really?
Hello. Oh. Well, this week we've had problems with the truck coming to MOT time. I've had to do ball joints, wheel bearings, and a whole host of things, but in the fire I lost a lot of equipment from the garage. Obviously most of my normal tools and stuff survived because my big toolbox is locked in the house, but I had all extra brake flaring kits and wheel bearing equipment to pull wheel bearings. It all burnt, and the little kit that I need to change the wheel bearings on the front of this truck's 300 and something odd euros, same price it is in England. So I had to make bearing pullers myself to actually remove the bearings. You can't just beat them out with hammers and things, or you destroy the bearings, so I've had to make kits for it. Then the steering rack underneath, unfortunately the previous owners had an exhaust fitted and it wasn't fitted very well. and this is one of the pipes that runs from the steering to pass the fluid from one end to the other, and the exhaust had chafed on this pipe and made a little pinprick in it. So I managed to think about it overnight, and the pinprick was so small I managed to chop the pipe in half and buy a union here, a joiner, which made up, it sealed the hole and gave the right length to this. But when fitting it back in, these threads here chewed up in the steering rack, not on the pipe which you could get for 40 quid. It chewed up the steering rack, and the steering rack's about 700, no. Yeah, it was about 600 and something odd euros for the steering rack. So thankfully, Luke from Luke and Sarah's Off-Grid Life came over. I sent him a message and said, look, I wouldn't ask you if I'm not desperate. He came over and he took me to Castello Branco. I took the steering rack out and I managed to get it fixed for 70 euros. So that was a massive saving. So I've just been putting that back in the truck now. So that's one of the jobs I've been doing this week. I've spent a lot of time under this truck.
So once again, I'm sorry this week's video is a bit of a short one, but like Dad said, it's been hot and we've had a lot of stressful stuff to do on the farm this week.
Yeah, we've lost a baby goat this week. Thankfully it was a boy, but when they were outside he was about a week old, so he had plenty of strength in him, and they should cope with it pretty much quite well, being with the older ones. And I think he got trampled at the hay feeder, because his body was found in front of the hay feeder outside, not inside the building. So that's just part of farm life, unfortunately. So, but thankfully it was doesn't really matter, a poor animal's lost its life, but it's a boy. And in the farming world, boys aren't really what you want. You want girls because the girls are giving you milk. Doesn't matter what animal you're breeding, really. Everybody wants the girls, whether it's chickens or anything. Unfortunately, boys' lives are rather short in farming terms. So we've been contacted by a couple, I think, that are going to try and move into or trying to buy a property in our village, and they've contacted us this morning on Facebook and asked that if we'd go and give them some advice, mainly I think on the pitfalls of buying property and what to be aware of. So if we've got the time this week, we're going to try and meet with them for an hour or two and just give them a bit of advice. But whether we get the chance to go and do that, because we don't generally get any time off, do we? So, well, that's it for this week. Hopefully next week will be a bit more interesting with a bit more to show you. And we look forward to seeing you then, eh?
So don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button and leave us your feedback. And we will see you back here next weekend.